I've covered most recently some of the Monster Hunter games. Well, most of them at least. Not all of them, but most of them. For this one, this is Monster Hunter Wilds on PS5, Xbox Series, and Windows. Currently, at the time of this recording, I heard that the PC version is not well optimized, but the console versions are not bad. This one is a open world Monster Hunter game. This is different. But anyways, all your weapons from the previous games are still there regardless. And you can play up to 4 players like usual through co-op. Oh, did I mention this game has crossplay? Yeah, they added in crossplay this time, which makes it a newer addition to the whole series. So you can basically play with anyone as you like. Or if you want to, at least. Of course, we gotta address some of the things in the game. One, they made the Palicles talk in English language or whatever language that you pretty much have in the game itself. Look, if you don't like it, you can turn it off and you can basically put back to the original Palico language. So, at least there's something. See, at least that's what the smart thing that Capcom did. So, of course, you're the hunter. I mean, that's all you're ever referred to. I mean, it's been pretty common in the series, but here's one gripe I got. They made the character talk. I'm not making this up. Sure, he talked during the freaking battles and whatever, which you can turn off and Rise. I'm saying in terms of cutscenes and story. I think this breaks the immersion of what made Hunter Hunter. It was just silent, and he would just do anything to defeat the monsters. But whatever, if you guys wanted a story behind the character, then whatever, I guess. I'm not a big fan of it, 'cause I think it just turns off the immersion of the character, or just whatever you had. But look, if you guys have played the beta version, you can pretty much transfer your character progression over. Well, not progression, but the character that you created, so you don't have to do additional work. Also, if you guys have the save data for Monster Hunter World along with this Iceborne expansion, I also believe Rise, but I own the Rise on Switch, so I can't say anything. But if you do have it, whether if you have the PS4 or whatever version you got it for, you have additional bonuses like some Fleeland armor sets or whatever. But that's about it, I guess. But I will just say there are some things that you should know about the game. One, they removed the food station in the game, which is pretty out of character if you ask me. It doesn't mean you still can't eat. You can go in your hut and eat and make food. But it's so weird how they don't have its own grill thing. I think it's just a big questionable thing, considering, yes, the game uses the RE engine, but it doesn't excuse from removing it, considering Monster Hunter Rise, which uses the same game engine, also has it. I don't get why they removed the food station. It just kills off any more immersion. This is strike 2 if you ask me. It doesn't mean there's some cool things. While you're riding the monsters like you would in the previous game, you could do 3 attacks this time. You get the traditional 1 damage stabbing, but if you press the triangle button, you could do a somewhat of a multi-damage by hard stabbing the enemy. But then you can use the R1 or whatever thing you got in your controllers. You can basically use your own weapon to attack it. But I say if the wound is open, that's when you should really strike it for massive damage. But yeah, you can collect pieces every time you wound creatures and whatever. But you can still carve off his tail and whatever, and the mining animation has pretty much changed. Pretty weird, but whatever. I guess they want to be more of a realistic part of the thing. What's also cool is that you can now carry 2 weapons at once, but there's a catch. You have this little rider, which is more of a bird thing. Think of it as a chocobo from Final Fantasy where you ride and you go for fast traveling. You can do that in this game. With that, you can go faster to find the monster's locations and whatever. It's kind of like how the dog was in the Monster Hunter Rise, but this time, when you stand on there, you can pretty much attack with your sword if you really want to. You can do a jump attack with it, and that's when the 2 weapon situation comes in. By pressing the D-pad, you can switch between 2 of your weapons. Say if you want to play as a gunner, or sometimes you want to switch it to like a heavy sword, you could do that. Or you could just mix and match. We can only do 2 at a time, and that's about it. You can still craft your items, and you can still do all your typical Monster Hunter stuff, but that's it from here. If you still need backup, you can still do the SOS flare, but here's the thing. This game brought back the non-pause button thingy. Something that the Monster Hunter World had. Great. Way to go, guys. Also, guess what? They brought back the Scout Flies from Monster Hunter World, which is something I've heard a lot of complaints about. A lot of people didn't seem to like it, so they removed it from the Rise. But they ended up bringing it back for whatever reason being. Now, besides fighting your old monsters like you would in the other games, there's some brand new ones in there. I'm not going to say too much about them, but I will say there are some challenge to them. Seriously. Especially with Black Flame. That guy was a piece of garbage. But yeah, you get to fight some octopuses, some monkeys, well, gorillas, some flying monsters. And like I said, some familiar foes that you fought in the original games. Also, I think the Ravlos has some new animations from what I was looking at while playing the game. And while fighting monsters in the game, you can hold the left trigger and you can basically aim your attack with the weapon in mind. Doesn't matter if it's a gun weapon or perhaps that it's your sword. It makes it a lot easier to attack enemies now, which I'm pretty happy about. But at the same time, you also got these little highlight things. What I mean is that when you see those when you're attacking a monster, that means, hey, if you keep attacking there, the wound will open. And the more you do that, the better chance you have to stun the enemy. Which is fine, by the way. I mean, it's okay for some players, but at the same time, it's not. It just depends who you are and what you've been playing. And yes, if asking, the 3 lives thing is still there. You die 3 times, you're just going to start all over when it comes to hunting down certain monsters. These are side quests you guys can undertake as well, so there's something for you guys to do. There's also event stuff, but at the time, as of right now, there hasn't been any event quests, but there will be some soon. So I've seen people predict there's going to be another version of the game that'll have this massive expansion, just like World and Rise did. I can see where they're coming from. And I'm not surprised by that. I mean, they also did with like Monster Hunter 3 and 4 when it came to Ultimate. But then Generations, we were given that one. But then on Nintendo Switch, we got the Ultimate version. You still got your little grappling hook, but that's just more for like grabbing things you probably need from far distance, like projectiles, or maybe some items you need to craft, or auto-craft, you know? Like making potions or mega potions, you name it. But despite me saying about stuff that there might be an expansion pack later on in the Lifeline, which I'm pretty sure will happen, just like everyone else has been saying, which I don't blame them, I say you can play this game for over 100 hours and then probably have fun with some of your friends or whatever. But I will say is that this game became one of the fastest selling games, and currently at the time of this recording, it actually sold over 8 million copies within 3 days. You know the series is greatly anticipated when it comes to Monster Hunter and the Souls games. There are some good features in this game, and there's also some dumb features, but at the same time, you'll still have some enjoyment playing it and destroying monsters. Some easy, some hard. It just depends if you can read into them, like, what's their next move? Like, once you see the flinching begins, or perhaps what type of movement they make, then you'll get the perfect idea as to what move they'll make next. Just like any other Monster Hunter game in the series, so they could be easy to read or sometimes hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell if they're limping or not, especially the octopus creature, but you can still capture monsters in the game if you really want to in terms of the quests. But at the same time, you can also destroy the monsters for pieces, so that way you get some more armor, weapons, and whatever. But just like the others in the series, it's going to take a couple of tries in order to get whatever it is that you need. Because it's not easy to grab everything that you need. It might take you like 2 or 3 tries, it just depends. But that's all I can really say about the monsters and the pieces. But the exploration is fine for what it is, and you can even make your own portable camp in the game as well. It took me a while to figure out how to do it, but once you manage to find out, then you'll have no problem.